Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, obviously, there were big scientific frauds in history, like thinking the Earth was flat and that 6/7 of the Earth was covered with land. There were lots of frauds, but I don't think any of them have cost the world as much as this one. I mean, this one, they're talking about literally trillions of dollars. You know, if OECD countries followed Kyoto, the cost that's estimated would be about $1 trillion a year. And that would mean that for 1 year of Kyoto expenditure, they could actually fix the freshwater drinking problem in Africa virtually forever. And right now, there's about 5 million people a year, mostly children, who die in Africa due to bad drinking water. And that problem could be solved with 1 year's expenditure on Kyoto. So independent of, you know, your politics, one of the points we're trying to make is that this is just a bad use of money. So we're trying to expand the tent, not just for right-wing or center, but we're also trying to attract left-wingers, which we're slowly doing. Because, you know, left, right, or center, nobody wants to throw $1 trillion a year down the drain, although sometimes I wonder. But regardless, we're finding that one of the reasons we haven't been winning up to this point is because we only are attracting our traditional allies. You know, people like yourself and others who think about the issues, but also people who generally tend to be a bit right of center. But if we're going to win this debate, we have to get a lot more people on our side. We have to make allies with people who ordinarily...
I agree, but I mean, the way to reach out to the left, and I'm past the left-right paradigm, I'm more of a libertarian and just a realist, is conservatively, we're talking about millions and millions of people dying a year if a fraction of these carbon cuts are made. And now we learn in the draft treaty that third world has to make close to double the cuts of the first world. I mean, even if the left, you just believe this would be a big money grab to help the third world, it has nothing to do with that. It's a insider trading carbon derivative system developed by Ken Lay. I mean, this is just a giant carnival scam.
One of the things that people forget is that there's a lot of investment firms who have invested billions of dollars. I won't mention the names because I don't want to get sued, but the bottom line is I said to one of the carbon brokers the other day, I said, such and such a company has bought $1 billion worth of carbon credits. Now, they don't need them. They're just doing it on speculation. So they want to see the climate scare continue. And he said to me, $1 billion, that's nothing. A lot of companies have invested a lot more than that. And so what you're finding is that some organizations are actually helping fund scare movies. For example, The 11th Hour by Leonardo DiCaprio, which is like a super Al Gore film. It's even more exaggerated. That's actually being funded in part by Swiss Re, which are one of the world's largest insurance companies. And you have to say, well, why would they fund a climate scare video? Well, of course, the answer is obvious. If people think that there's massive climate problems coming, they're going to buy more insurance, they can raise the premiums. And so what you're seeing is an enormous vested interest in actually keeping the scare alive. And that's a scary thing, because how long can the scare continue if the data is wrong? Well, it might continue for quite a long time if there's enough people funding it. And that's basically what it comes down to, I think, is that there is billions to be made, even, you know, as some people say, hundreds of billions, if, in fact, the scare continues. So scientists laugh, you know, at the conference that we organized or helped organize. They said, how long does it have to cool before politicians stop calling it global warming? Well, actually, it might cool for a long time, and that's what many of the scientists are saying, but the scare may continue anyways because there's so much money behind it.
That's a good question. You're talking to a lot of top, real, non-political climatologists, and, you know, the sun, they say, is the main driver, but also this nuclei coming out of space. There's a lot of other things going on. It does appear that most of the climatologists we read say, no, actually, it's a normal cooling trend. What is the majority view with the scientists you're talking to?
Well, the majority view is that they don't know. They have various theories. It's kind of like a bell curve. There's very few on the side that say we are definitely not causing any climate change. There's very few on the side that say that we're causing all of it. It's more of a distribution in the middle where the vast majority of them say, well, we don't know. The science is so immature. You know, take clouds, for example. Clouds are 100 times more influential on climate than humans, all like human activity combined. And yet it was only 10 years ago that we thought the net impact of clouds was to contribute to global warming because, of course, it's water vapor and that's a greenhouse gas. But recently they've found that, in fact, clouds are a net cooling agent because they reflect more of the sunlight into space than they actually trap in the atmosphere. So not only have they changed the magnitude of the cloud impact, which, as I say, is far more than human, but they've even changed the sign. So the whole concept that the science is settled as to what the other cause might be. It's probably not CO2, whether it's the sun, whether it's ocean currents, whether it's land use change, whether, as you say, it's cosmic rays from space. I mean, the bottom line is we're in an era of negative discovery, where the more we learn, the more we realize that we just don't understand.
Yeah, this is incredibly complex. We're a giant planet hurtling through deep space, orbiting a gigantic sun. I mean, and they're saying that humans exhaling 5.5 pounds or flatulence from bovine that have always been on the planet are deadly. Oh, but a tax will save us.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is absurd. And the sad thing is that many conservatives who actually know it's wrong are saying the wrong things. You know, the Conservative Party in Canada, for example, before they came into power, they said they were going to get to the bottom of the climate change Kyoto scare. Once they got into power, their spin doctors clearly told them they could get more votes if they just changed their tune and said the same thing as Al Gore. And so that's what they've done. And I'm really ashamed as a Canadian to have our government saying things they know very well are completely wrong. We find that it's strange, but with the Liberal government before our current Conservative government, they would allow the occasional climate skeptic to come into committee hearings to testify. But ever since this supposedly conservative government has come in, they've actually closed the door totally.
Oh, yeah, look at Newt Gingrich. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is not a partisan issue. It's an issue of people that want to regulate and control our economy and vertically integrate it.
Oh, yeah. And it's also an issue of a lack of courage on the part of many politicians who know that people like Senator Inhofe are right. A lot of politicians know that. I've talked to many of the MPs in Canada behind closed doors, and they know it's a scam, but they're afraid to say it. And we need a lot more courage and leadership in our government.
Well, I agree with you, sir. We're going to go to break and come back with a final segment on the other side, so please stay with us. Tom Harris, Executive Director of the International Climate Science Coalition, is our guest. We'll talk about what he's witnessing in Copenhagen and if the ClimateGate information is disturbing this globalist event. We'll be right back.